bakes in policy choices that should be the decision of future Congresses. Each Congress elected by the people should decide the contours of its own budget. This resolution requires a two-thirds majority to raise taxes, but only a simple majority to
$3 trillion. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback.
The fentanyl crisis is often described as a tragedy beyond our control, a wave of destruction that we can only hope to mitigate through increased funding and domestic awareness. However, when we peel back the layers of administrative jargon, a much more uncomfortable question emerges. Is this a failure of capability or a failure of will? In the world of international diplomacy and high-level enforcement, there are levers of power that remain untouched despite the growing body count on American soil. This isn't just about a disagreement over budget allocations. It is a direct challenge to the idea that our current strategy is the only one available. When a senior official is asked repeatedly why a potentially decisive action hasn't been taken, and the answer is a pivot to whole-of-government efforts, we have to ask who the current system is actually serving.
So would it help, let me ask you a fourth time, would it help if President Lopez Obrador, I don't think it's a complicated question, Madam Administrator, you're asking us for more money every year, more money, and it gets worse, worse, and worse. You know, in the real world, the nitty-gritty of the real world, when you fail, you get fired. In government, when you fail, you get more money because obviously you need it. Now, let me ask you a fourth time. If President Lopez Obrador, and I'd appreciate an answer, if President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and our law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his, we could stop the cartels, couldn't we?
I believe, Senator, that we can stop the cartels.
Okay, have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
If I could, I believe that we can stop the cartels by...
Have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
Senator, I have been very vocal in the whole of government setting on the importance of fentanyl and all of us using every single effort and authority that we have.
Why hasn't President Biden done it? I mean, this is the way the American people whose sons and daughters are dying look at it. Our economy is $23 trillion. Mexico's economy is $1.3 trillion. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback. So why don't you and the president, embarrassing no one, get on the phone and call President Lopez Obrador and make him a deal he can't refuse to allow our military and our law enforcement officials to go into Mexico and work with his to stop the cartels? Why don't you do that?
Senator, what I am doing every single day is working with the incredible men and women of DEA who are risking their lives across 334 offices worldwide.
And I appreciate that, but you're not doing what would work. Why won't you do what will work?
Senator, we are...
Why don't you call the president this afternoon and say, Mr. President, let's call President Lopez Obrador privately and make him a deal he can't refuse. Because we both know that President Lopez Obrador has neither the ability nor the will to stop the cartels. But yet we go along and pretend that they're our friends, and Mexico is our friend. But he has criminal organizations that are killing our people, and you know how to stop it, and the president does, and you're not doing it.
Senator, we are working every day to stop it.
But you're not doing what would stop it.
We are transforming, and we are working in countless ways across the globe to do what needs to be done for the American people. And there is nothing that the men and women...
when it's important to you, you make it happen. When it's not important to you, you make an excuse.
The takeaway from this exchange is a sobering realization that the tools to end the fentanyl crisis may already exist, but remain locked behind a wall of diplomatic politeness. When we prioritize the feelings of a foreign administration over the lives of our own citizens, the moral foundation of our leadership is called into question. This transcends partisan politics. It is about whether a government's primary duty is to its own people or to the maintenance of comfortable international relationships. Ultimately, a strategy that refuses to use every available lever of power is not a strategy. It is a choice to allow the tragedy to continue.